Into that with the carbon tax, didn't we? That the carbon tax did not affect inflation. You know, who said that? You know, who said it didn't? Bank of Canada, Stats Canada, Climate, the Canadian Climate Institute, Prosperity Institute, and literally hundreds of economists. Well, there was 200 of them that signed that letter. And Stephen Guilbeault, definitely, Justin Trudeau. And Justin Trudeau even said, even if you can't afford your rent or can't afford groceries, knowing that the climate is much more important than that.
But they're not naive.
No. So there you go. There's a good one. Whoops. Another whoops, eh? Whoopsie. And then we got a clip here to play. We put this in here too because this is for the elbows up crowd.
At the leaders' debate, Mark Carney's closing comments were this:
we're all going to stand up against Donald Trump. I'm ready. I've managed crises over the years. I've built strong economies. We will fight back with counter tariffs. We will protect our workers and those businesses, and we will build the strongest economy.
But just one day before that, he had met with his cabinet and canceled the tariffs on the US, those retaliatory tariffs that came into effect after Liberation Day. This is an internal document that was published in the Canadian Gazette on May 7th. It shows that Mark Carney and his cabinet met to cancel the retaliatory tariffs. Those elbows up tariffs on the US, all was a lie. He had the gall to look Canadians in the eye during the leaders' debate in an election and say something he knew was not true.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie indeed.
Whoopsie. Another whoopsie. Maybe we should call this segment Whoopsie.
I'll tell you what, another whoopsie there is that comment that he made, which I noticed at the time. I think we discussed it at the time, where he said, I've built successful economies. Central banks don't build economies. I mean, what a cheeky thing that is, like self-aggrandizing thing to say.
No. Whoopsie. This one here, if Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump there, I destroyed the Soviet Union. I'm sure everybody remembers Ronald Reagan saying, Gorbachev, tear down that wall. There you go.
He did, yeah.
Do you remember Mikhail Gorbachev? He had that, I think the planet
Indeed.
on his head there. Right?
Birthmark, yeah.
There you go. I've been to the Berlin Wall. I'm sure you have too. I bought a piece of it actually.
That's amazing. How much did that cost?
They sell you a little piece of the concrete. I don't even know. And I can't remember. It's like, I was at Checkpoint Charlie there in West Berlin, and they sell it to you as a tourist. And yeah.
I'm sure it's not just like old Fritz's garden wall that he's decided to dismantle.
They're making it in the back with little bags or whatever. I don't know. They probably had enough of it left over and say, hey, you know what? That's entrepreneurship, right? And the joke, I was in Germany for a bit, and one of my friend was there, and he says, the joke was when they tore down the wall. This is the joke, because we're in the joking section. And he said that the joke was, if you're living in West Berlin and you can't find your car, an East German stole it. Because when they tore down that wall, the West Germans were very wealthy, and the East Germans obviously not, right? So there was a bit of work that Germany had to do to kind of equalize that, and it was very painful for many of the West Germans. They didn't like it. That down they were sharing.
They spent something like I think it's over $1 trillion. I can't remember what the sum is, but they really went at that in a typically sort of German way, like very obsessive and systematic. And they tried their hardest, but obviously it hasn't quite succeeded, and there's still a massive divide. And if you look at the last election, you look at the election map, the East is almost entirely AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, which is that party that's now being investigated by the federal government, and the federal government have said that they're like I can't remember what they said, like a terrorist organization or something, or a racist organization. That's an extremist organization. So obviously, it didn't quite work out in the end. They didn't quite harmonize the two Germanys.
I was in Finland as well, in Helsinki, which was ruled by the Russians. I can't get the number right, maybe like 100 years. I think the Russians ruled over Finland, and then when they left, they kept an island just off the coast of Finland. And this, I can't remember the year it was. Maybe it's 2010 or something like that. And Russia wanted to give that island back to the Finns, and they didn't want it. Because Finland has this thing where they have to equalize, just like East and West Germany, where they have to kind of give everybody the same standard of living. And it was very poor, the island. They didn't want to bring them up to a standard of living that was required by Finland.
Yeah, there's a few examples of that. Like the Russians also, I believe, tried to get rid of Kaliningrad, which is that borders Poland and also Lithuania, I think. It's like this really strange, tiny little patch of land that's like inside of Europe, basically. They tried to get rid of that and didn't succeed. That's like, it's an old remnant of Prussia, of the Prussian Empire, if you remember that from your history class.
I don't. Sorry, 1 second. I just want to make sure I get this right before I'm asking my friend. Yeah, so Alaska was purchased from Russia by the United States. Look at the price tag. You remember that price tag? That was quite the buy. Why didn't Canada buy it?
Not very much.
$7.2 million. At that point,
that was a genuine question that was raised, actually.
Yeah, it was.
But that's because the British treated Canada, or British North America, with total contempt. They didn't take it seriously at all. So they always gave land away to the Americans or whoever.
So yeah, they bought it for $7.2 million in 1867, and on March 30th. Look at that. That was a pretty good.
They also bought the Mississippi, the Louisiana Purchase, which is like basically the best farmland on earth. They also got that off the French for not very much.
Yeah, there you go. And Alaska is very rich in resources. I think, the Trump administration just did that deal with the Japanese for some LNG, a deal that we said we didn't want to do because there's no future for LNG.
Smart.
Incredibly economically sound. And we did that because in Kelowna here, we had that golf fight. Remember that we played that a while ago where those people golfing went at her pretty good? Well, it turns out golf is not the only contact sport or the sport that seems to be fairly tame. Pickleballers also want to mix it up. Here's this clip here from the internet on a couple of pickleballers getting at it. You can probably kill them. The guy doesn't even want to fight fair. He's using his racket to go at it, right? Maybe he thinks the guy's the There you go.
To be honest, that's what you get when you fall over because of your own punch. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna get smacked on the head, aren't you, with a racket?
Ah, well, there you go. Golf and pickleball, now contact sports, right? You think that, and the guy there doesn't even fight. He's using his pickleball racket as a weapon.
I suppose you got to do something to have fun while you play those sports.
Yeah, it's taken over for tennis for lots of people because I guess people don't like running around. I love tennis, but apparently I've never played pickleball. But apparently these people are people that love pickleball. It's. I would imagine, I haven't played it, so I can't say for sure. I imagine it's a slower, less demanding sport than tennis.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I've never played pickleball either, but I would imagine that's right.
There you go. In the Biden family, this is the one, we haven't done a Babylon Bee one for a bit, but the Biden family actually, with all this fallout from Jake Tapper's original Sin book, are really worried they might be running out of time to exploit Joe Biden. Yeah. That's sad, eh?
Well, I mean, it's funny and it's a joke, obviously, but I can't find it all that funny, because the premise of that joke is that Biden is this innocent old man. But Biden, he's always been a bit of a sort of slippery figure throughout his entire career, ever since he became a senator when he was like 30 or something like that. Like, he's always been a bit of a sort of cheeky, sort of slimy guy. So I reckon he's in on anything that's going on. He's been in on it.
If you want to read some excerpts from the book, Megyn Kelly's got quite a few of them out there. I don't know if it's available online if anybody wants to buy it, but there's some pretty damning revelations in that book.